Good evening, friends. First of all, thank you once again for this weekly webinar that we are starting today. Let me introduce myself first and take the session ahead. My name is Sitla Thakur, and I take care as Chief Business Officer of FundBusy. With a small experience of around 15, 16 odd years, I have been into distribution of financial products, real estate, through various companies like Indian Bank, Elara Capital, National Housing Bank, Piramal, and my current association with Pantomath under FundBusy. That's about me. As we talk about FundBusy, जो हम लोग हमेशा FundBusy की बात करते हैं, FundBusy basically came with a thought कि let's create a platform जहाँ पे we can come up with new age investment products, specifically those products which are categorically, I would say, high reward kind of a product, which are curated, which are tried and tested. One of the things that we should definitely have to in a client's portfolio, जो डेट की तरफ देख रहा हो या जिसको इक्विटी जैसा रिटर्न चाहिए बट इक्विटी वाला रिस्क नहीं चाहिए, हाइब्रिड प्रोडक्ट चाहिए, तो देयर आर मेनी थिंग्स दैट वी वांटेड टू वर्क अराउंड एंड कम अप ऑन अ प्लेटफॉर्म. So with that thought, we started this platform called FundBusy, and I feel privileged. The last 6-7 odd months, we have covered up a bit. We have almost more than 100 to 150 odd channel partners who are working with us, because basically FundBusy was always a B2B wealth tech, जहाँ पे मैं आपको ट्रेडिशनल एफडी के अलावा और बहुत सारे जो डेट प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जो लेके आऊंगा. दैट वाज अ थॉट. नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द सेशन फॉर विच वी हैव गैदर्ड टुडे. Today, one of a very exciting session, which we talk about, one of a very exciting session, one of a very exciting product we'll be talking today, that is known as fractional real estate. And to talk about the guest who would be taking the session, I would love to take it and talk much on to Aryaman, because Aryaman being one of those guys who understood the potential what this industry has today. Almost, I would say a techie by nature, but finance all across, understand finance very strongly, ethics very strongly, and all these things he looked around. Or gradually real estate जिस तरीके से dynamically change हो रहा है, the world is changing, what we always say in the investment as well as in real estate part. So that is how they started fractional real estate as a product, if I am not wrong, almost 3.5 to 4 years back. Current as a company, if I say, holding around 300 crore plus of AUM. प्रोडक्ट स्टार्टेड विद फ्रैक्शनल के बाद में एसडीआई किया, अगेन अ सक्सेसफुल प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में आए एंड गॉट इट सब्सक्राइब्ड विद इन वीक टू 10 डेज के अंदर, दैट वाज क्लोज्ड. अगेन कमिंग बैक विद अ फ्रैक्शनल काइंड ऑफ अ प्रोडक्ट फ्रॉम पुणे मार्केट. जस्ट टू एड ऑन टू टॉक अबाउट द होस्ट ऑफ द डे, आर्यमन, awarded 30 under 30, 40 under 40 by Realty Plus. PropTech Startup of the Year करके award आया in the year 2023. Then PropTech Startup of the Year from Entrepreneur Today. Many awards and accolades to talk about Aryaman. So Aryaman, I'm not taking much more time because the entire dice want to hear you from how did you started, what was the fractional real estate to talk to, and then talking about the opportunity on what we are offering today. Thanks, Aryaman. Just I'm handing over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Sitla, for the introduction. Am I audible?
Yeah, Aryaman, you are.
Great. So I'll just talk a little bit first about fractional ownership, and then I'll go through the presentation for our current opportunity. So, fractional ownership, we began as a concept 3 years ago in India. So at that point of time, there weren't too many fractional ownership platforms. The idea at that time was that, commercial real estate is a very lucrative asset class. You have HNIs investing in it, you have family offices investing in it, but your retail investor didn't get too many opportunities to participate in it. So, someone who invests in commercial real estate, they get about 8 to 9% rental income and they get capital appreciation. So it has a mix of both kinds of returns. So it's a very, very good asset class and has been the preferred asset class for the HNIs. Now, a smaller investor usually isn't able to invest because these institutional grade properties in which you're getting these yields of 8-9%, they're much larger in terms of ticket size. So they are 50 crores, 100 crores in ticket size. So it becomes very difficult for a retail investor to access them. So as a concept, what we started is fractional ownership, wherein a retail investor can own a bite-sized fraction of a property that we curate. And accordingly, they get their rental income and capital appreciation. So of most recent, we've just launched our latest opportunity. It's actually based in Pune under this concept. I'll share my screen very quickly. So the opportunity is called the Sky One opportunity. I'll very quickly go through the presentation and then maybe we can do Q&A at the end. So this property is situated right next to the airport in Pune. It's a relatively new property. It got its completion only 2 years ago. What?
Sorry, Aryaman, to interfere. Uh, Aryaman, can we go a bit slow? And because majorly we have the channel partners all across, so if it can be a mix of Hindi and English together, just.
Sure, sure.
Thanks.
So this property is situated in Pune. This property, we were able to get a very, very good rental yield. And the reason is because it was a distressed property. So we bought this from a creditor who had foreclosed on the asset because COVID mein, the loan was defaulted upon by the developer. So basically, when this property went to the bank, went to the creditor, we purchased it from them under a certain agreement that we had with them. So we were able to get a much better than normal deal than a market deal. And hence the yields, if you see the rental yields are quite high in this opportunity. So the entry yield is 9.6%, which is a very, very rare aspect. If in fact, this is the highest yield that we've ever given on our platform. There's a tenant already in the property. The tenant is called Vertiv Energy. So Vertiv Energy is a NYSE listed company. They have a $20 billion market cap. They're a Fortune 600 company. So, it ticks all the boxes. And they've signed a leave and license agreement, which is a lease agreement for 5 years with a 5-year lock-in. So for 5 years, they cannot go anywhere. And even in terms of their stickiness, they have made this building their research and development global headquarters. So they've just sort of taken up this asset. They've taken multiple floors in it. They're investing heavily into it to make it their marquee R&D center. So from a long-term perspective, also, we are quite confident and comfortable with this tenant staying. Now, the minimum investment in this opportunity for one investor is 25 lakh rupees. And you can invest in any denomination above that. Now, in this building, basically, we are acquiring the 9th floor. The 9th floor is 58,661 square foot. So now in this floor, we are fractionalizing it and allowing investors to own 25 lakh rupees ka fractional ownership. So first, I'll just talk a little bit about the Pune area. So Pune as a commercial market has always been a very, very prominent one. In terms of IT, it's the second largest IT hub in India after Bangalore. So you have a lot of MNCs who set up their headquarters. You have a lot of international companies. You also have consulting firms, global capability centers. So a lot of this demand is driving the real estate of Pune. In fact, we'll see in the next slide that the overall vacancy is also quite low in Pune. So this is the basic map of Pune. Pune has 5 different office catchment areas. So in a city, usually a micro market, we refer to an area which has a office concentration in it. So in this, there are 5 such micro markets. Our property is located in SBD East, Viman Nagar. So if you see SBD East, it's the largest office space micro market with 35 million square feet. So if you see the other micro markets, it's 15 million, 9 million, much smaller. So this is one of the most prominent office belts of Pune. Now, more interestingly, it only has a 6% vacancy. So the entire micro market, despite of so much stock, only has 6% vacancy. So, it tells you a little bit about the demand of this area. Now, what's most interesting is if you see the orange pin on the map, that is where our building is located. And you see how close it is to the Pune airport. In fact, when you land in the Pune airport, you can see our building facade very clearly with the signage. So it's a very, very marquee asset. Usually buildings which are situated close to the airport, they remain in demand for a long period of time because that location remains very relevant, in the city for a long period of time. So we usually prefer to buy next to a airport and next to good connectivity. So even in terms of the metro station, we have a metro station within 3 kilometers of our building. We have access to bus stops, railway station, and all the main roads of Pune. Now, here are some other tenants who are in the vicinity. Your MasterCard, IBM, Bajaj, Quick Heal, Barclays. So all your MNCs which have their primary offices in IT hub usually have it in this locality. And even if you see the other premium buildings in this area, like you have Grand Hyatt, you have Ritz-Carlton, Westin Hotel. So, overall this area is quite premium and it's the preferred area for such tenants. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the opportunity itself. So this was more to give you an idea of Pune, of where the property is located. So to give you an overview, but now I'll talk a little bit more about the building itself. So the development is called Sky One Corporate Park. It was completed about 2 years ago. Currently, it houses only Fortune 500 tenants. So it has. We'll go through the tenancy, in the next slide. But the reason why it's so attractive to tenants is that the developer has used the highest spec in designing this building. So even the facade, if you see, it's made out of granite. They have double glazed glass in the entirety of the building. Most importantly, the building is designed for platinum rating, IGBC platinum rating. So that's the highest standard of quality a building gets. Now, another interesting aspect is that the entire second floor has been dedicated to amenities. So they have a gym, they have a cafeteria, they have a creche, yoga room, and all of this can be used by all the tenants in the building. So, it's a very, very favorable thing, especially in a post-pandemic world where amenities are getting allocated a lot of importance, especially by MNCs. So most MNCs want access to amenities. They want a gym. They want such facilities for their employees who are coming to office. So this is the building stacking plan. Stacking plan basically means, what all tenants are already in the building. So if you see the ground floor, first floor, you have Piaggio vehicles. Second floor, like I mentioned, is the amenities floor. Then on the third and fourth floor, you have Vertiv Energy, which is also our tenant on the ninth floor. And then you have Kantar and Synchro on the third and fifth floor also. So floor number 10 to 13 is in the process of being leased. It should be leased by March end of this year itself. So we are anticipating by March the entire building will be 100%. Now, in terms of Vertiv, like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be the R&D headquarters, global headquarters. So, first they took the third floor, then they expanded and took the fourth, then they took the ninth, and now they're going to be taking the 10th as well. So it tells you a little bit about the tenant's preference of this asset also. So these are some images and these are real images. These are on-site images. So this is the lobby. In fact, there are two independent lobbies. This is one of them. This is the cafeteria which all sort of people in the building can use. So this is the gym, you have the yoga room, the creche, all of that. So this is all on the second floor. And this is the floor plate. So even the floor plate is very clean. It's a high efficiency floor plate. So it's a 70% plus efficiency. It's designed to the best of standards. You have balconies, open areas also on the floor plate itself. Now I'll tell you a little bit about the tenant Vertiv Energy because basically our rental has to come from Vertiv Energy for the next 5 years. So a large part of this deal is also dependent on the quality of the tenant, and all real estate actually depends heavily on the quality of the tenant. So just to give you an idea about Vertiv Energy, they have a market cap of $20 billion. They're listed in on the NYSE, which is the New York Stock Exchange. The headquarters is in Ohio in the US. They employ 27,000 people worldwide. So, that's a very, very significant number. They're a Fortune 600 company. And most importantly, the kind of business that they're in is it's very recession proof. They're in the data center space, they're in the thermal management space. So a lot of these are becoming increasingly important, especially in a world where we are moving towards digitization, AI. So services of whatever are becoming increasingly in demand. In fact, 70% of all Fortune 500 companies are clients of Vertiv. So, that's how stable Vertiv as a company is. Now, a little bit about the lease agreement. So we've signed a 5-year lease with a 5-year lock-in. A lock-in is a period in which the tenant cannot vacate the property. So it's a legal obligation for the tenant to continue to service the rental for the lock-in period. So we have a 5-year lock-in. Now, what's more important is we've also insisted on the tenant doing the fit-outs. So when the tenant does the fit-outs, the skin in the game is much higher. So for example, Vertiv in this building has already spent 24 crore rupees in doing the fit outs of the offices that they're occupying. So, it makes it a lot harder for the tenant to tomorrow get up and relocate after the lock in period is over. So, we usually insist on the tenant making this investment. Now, what's also important is that there was a 6-month rent-free period, which is quite standard in office leases, especially new leases. But what we negotiated with the seller is that the seller will be compensating us for the rent-free period. So investors will not have any rent-free period. The seller will be paying out of pocket any rent that's lost during the rent-free period. So that's why the cash flow to the investors will be very consistent from day one. Now, in terms of the security deposit, the tenant has also given us 6 months of security deposit, which is basically going to remain with us till the end of the lease. And 6 months is quite high. Usually it ranges from 3 to 6 months. And there's a escalation built into the rental. So every 2 years, the rental will go up by 10%. And the benefit of this is also passed on to the investors. Now coming to the lease and sale comparables. So if you see the lease, the rental in this area is roughly between 90 to 105 rupees. And our rental is at par, with these benchmarks. In fact, our building is a lot newer. It's of a much higher spec. So despite being of a higher spec, they've leased it at the market rental. So it's a very good proposition for a tenant. And in terms of the sale comparable, we've also got a valuation report. It says that our building we've acquired at a 13 to 15% discount to market rate. And the reason for that is because number one, it's a very sizable asset. So we were able to negotiate a better price. And second, we bought it from the creditor. We didn't buy it from the developer. So the creditor had a requirement of speed. We had to buy it very quickly. So we were able to negotiate a better rate. So because of that, we got a much better pricing on the asset. So now in terms of the total opportunity size, it's 80.4 crores. So this includes all the expenses and no expenses above this. So we've accounted for stamp duty, for acquisition expenses. We've created a reserve, prop tax, legal expenses. So all of this work we are doing, and this is the budget that we've allocated towards it. The total cost will come to around 80 crores, 40 lakhs, and the minimum investment is 25 lakh rupees. So roughly around 250 investors to 300 investors will be facilitating to fund this entire opportunity. Now, if you see the gross yield, year number one is 9.6%, then 9.2, 9.4, 9.4, and 10%. So, as you can see, all the yields are above 9% on any given year, and these are sort of fixated as per the lease agreement. So, these rentals are already agreed upon in the lease agreement, and they cannot change. So, this is a sort of a short part of the income for the investor. Now, with the appreciation across the next 5 years, we are anticipating a 15.1% IRR and a MOIC, which is multiple of invested capital of 1.85x. So this is what our projection is in terms of the exit of the asset. And this is basically what our fees is. So we charge a 1% annual fee. We charge a 20% performance fee whenever we sell the property. So after 5 years, we don't charge it in the middle. So when the investor makes a profit of above 10% annualized, we take a 20% above and beyond that. And there's a top-up offer. So for investors who confirm their investment before the 1st of March, they're eligible for a 2% top-up offer. It's basically like a fee waiver. So we don't charge fee amounting to 2% during the investment tenure. So there's a better breakup of this. So there's an Excel model which we'll be sharing, or which we can share after the webinar with you. So in that model, you can basically see all these different fees, the cash flow, year on year, how much rental the investor will get. So all of those details are mentioned in the Excel model. And the link to the model is also in the deck. So we'll be sharing the deck with everybody. So you can sort of think here also to access the model. But great. So that was the entire presentation. Sitla, if you have any questions or if you want to sort of request for questions, then more than happy.
Thanks, Aryaman. The friend just briefing it up again in a simple 3 or 4 pointer way, what to be discussed right now. Simple, पहला चीज तो it's a fractional real estate as a concept, one of a very establishing concept that is happening into real estate industry as on time on the investment per se. एक pre-lease commercial property है, which is a top category A kind of a property, which is certified property, platinum kind of a property. Normal valuation of these properties starts from around 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 crores. Normally such kind of properties are bought by HHNIs या institutions. जैसे आप REITs की जब हम लोग बात करते हैं, Blackstone की बात करते हैं, they buy this kind of properties. Normally with fractional real estate we are offering this access to a retail client. अभी जब retail client का आता है, तो simple we are saying with the minimum investment tickets of 25 lakhs, you are buying a pre-lease commercial property at a category A location with a category A kind of a tenant. जिससे आपका जब नॉर्मल में रियल एस्टेट में रेंटल आरओआई की बात करता हूं, तो रेजिडेंशियल का आरओआई सबसे कम होता है, कमर्शियल का उससे थोड़ा ऊपर होता है, बट ऑन एवरेज की अगर मैं बात करूं तो 4 से 6% का एवरेज होता है कमर्शियल में. बट ये जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज होती है जहां पे आपका नॉर्मल रेंटल्स जो आता है वो बेसिकली 7.5 to 8.5 के बीच में होता है. बट दिस इज वन ऑफ द स्ट्रेटेजी दैट वाइजैक्स हैज कम अप, बिकॉज प्रॉपर्टी लोगों ने सही जगह से लिया एट अ डिस्ट्रेस प्राइस, because of which rentals even has escalated, and we are getting a offering rental of 9.6%. Good part, property is based at Pune. Pune as a location, everybody knows it, but Aryaman has explained all the way across Pune market कैसे चल रहा है, vacancies क्या है, क्या kind of tenants अपने nearby vicinity में है, same building में किस तरह के tenants हैं, and how old is this property. So this property just 2 years old, top line building, Vertiv Energy as a tenant, again a US based tenant, and most important is not only कि tenant का background क्या है, definitely important है कि listed tenant है, more than 27,000 employees, इंडिया में मोर देन 2000 प्लस एम्प्लॉइज, बट उससे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है कि टेनेंट ने खुद के पॉकेट से फिट आउट्स में 24 करोड़ डाला है, तो जिसकी वजह से ग्रेजुअली टेनेंट का कल वहां से निकलने का जो चांसेस है और कम होता है. ये बोलने का लॉजिक ये है कि कल उठ के टेक दिस वे कि कल उठ के कोविड जैसे भी टाइम आते हैं, बाय एनी चांस स्टिल दिस टेनेंट्स आर ऑलवेज देयर, तो अपना रेंटल्स हमेशा अपने साथ एसोसिएटेड होता है. तो दैट इज वन ऑफ द प्रपोजिशन दैट वी हैव ब्रॉट अप. फ्रेंड्स, Aryaman, if you want to cover even on a bit on taxation, a bit on risk.
Sure. So I'll cover both those points. So in terms of taxation, the way this is structured is ki the property will be bought into a private limited company, which is basically a special purpose vehicle, a SPV. Investors will get shares and debentures of the SPV. So any rental that comes will go pass through to the investor. So all tax will be in the investor's hands. So when we sell the property, investor will have to pay capital gains, and on the rental income, investor will have to pay as per their slab rate. So whatever the income tax slab rate is, they'll have to pay as per that. So it's very straightforward. There's no other taxation apart from that. And sorry, Sitla, what was the other question?
Aryaman, even on the risk part, if we say as an investment, what's the risk?
Sure. So in this, the risk is almost like the same risk associated with owning your own property. So there's no credit risk in this case because we are not taking a loan. Like the property is funded entirely by investors. There is a vacancy risk usually in real estate, but we mitigated that by having a MNC tenant with a 5-year lock-in. So, we've also sort of hedged ourselves against that risk. There's usually a leasing risk, which we avoided by the nature of the property being pre-leased. There's usually a risk of the building becoming deteriorated over time that we've sort of eliminated by buying a relatively new property, which is only 2 years old, which is platinum rated. So, like that, whatever risks that there are with real estate are usually the risks associated with this kind of investment. And as a asset management platform, we try to minimize the exposure to each of these risks.
Got it, Aryaman. Friends, any question, anything? Because fractional real estate might be new for us, but overall, when I say as an industry, it's not new as on time. Aryaman, if I'm not wrong, it's almost 4 to 5 years that fractional started in India. And what would be the market cap overall in India?
So right now, there's the total industry size is roughly 5 to 6,000 crores.
Super. And a bit, if you can, on the SEBI part as well, how things are shaping on that part too.
Sure. So, because the industry became so large in such a short period of time, SEBI felt that, we were doing a very interesting investment proposition. So they've now come out with a proposal for a regulation called the MSM REIT. So, it will give a lot more confidence to all stakeholders once the regulation is in place. But the regulation is very enabling. So they want to encourage and promote the concept of fractional ownership. So I think getting this recognition from SEBI also is a very, very good milestone for the entire industry and sector.
So Aryaman, so basically, if I say this way, कि because of this micro REIT part and all, तो secondary line भी और smooth हो जाएगा. तो gradually as a investor, जहाँ पे when I say major एक होता है हमेशा कि is this investments with a lock-in.
Correct.
With a lock-in, but majorly because things are in shape, we are gradually expecting something coming from CB as well. तो gradually ticket size because और नीचे आ रहा है जो भी हो रहा है, secondary market और move होना start करेगा. This is what we want to say, right?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, आज के दिन भी secondary market काफी active है, like on our platform. तो जब SEBI आएगा and once the MSM REIT is live, liquidity will definitely be enhanced. But आज के दिन भी, if you see the secondary markets on platforms like ours, the liquidity period is 2 to 3 days. So, you know, we are able to identify an investor, replacement investor within 2 to 3 days, but it takes around 15, 20 days for the whole process to happen of transitioning.
Got it. So in fact, that's good part because gradually when I speak to my team and to all my distributors across, तो एक चीज हमेशा था because see majorly we all sell financial products. तो चाहे वो इक्विटी है, म्यूचुअल फंड्स है, तो जहाँ पे रिडेम्पशन बहुत नॉर्मल है कि मेरे को जब भी लगा आई कैन गो इन. तो आई डू अंडरस्टैंड कि रियल एस्टेट है तो उतना फास्ट नहीं होगा. बट स्टिल जब मैं बोलता हूँ कि प्री लीज है, कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टी है, एक तो मेरा रिटर्न गारंटीड आ जाता है बिकॉज इट्स अ डेट. पहला पार्ट रेंटल तो सीधा सीधा डेट है. कैपिटल एप्रिसिएशन अगेन दैट बिकम्स अ हाइब्रिड पार्ट की जहां पे मैं 15 बोल रहा हूँ तो 15 शायद से 18 भी हो सकता है, 15 12 भी हो सकता है, बट नॉमिनल वी शुड बी ओपन विद दैट कि 9.6 रेंटल तो आ ही रहा है. एंड सीइंग द वे हाउ इंडिया इज ग्रोइंग और प्रॉपर्टी अगर कैटेगरी है तो डिमांड सप्लाई वाला गिमिक्स तो हमेशा ही रहता है. तो डेफिनेटली दैट इज. हाँ. देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन. इफ अ बायर फॉर अ प्रॉपर्टी इज नॉट फाउंड एट द एंड ऑफ द टर्म देन व्हाट?
So usually what happens is that the kind of properties that these are very institutional in nature, right? So like even if you see other buyers in development like this, you have insurance firms, you have you know AIFs, you have fund houses, international fund houses. So we are quite confident of being able to find a buyer. However, because this is real estate and the market cycles, we keep asking for offers and we keep identifying buyers on an ongoing basis. So you know, let's say after 3 years we get a fantastic offer, we present it to the investors, and if majority investors think this is a good offer, then we facilitate the transaction. So 5 years is just an estimate that we provide, but we give options of exit before and after that as well.
Got it. तो बेसिकली अगेन आउट हियर आनंद इज कि 5 years वी आर टेकिंग कि आइडियली एक इन्वेस्टर अगर एंटर कर रहा है तो इस विजन शुड बी समवेयर बिटवीन 3 to 5 years बिकॉज 3 years पे विल बी टेकिंग द बेनिफिट ऑफ इंडेक्सेशन का भी बेनिफिट लेंगे. फिर डेफिनेटली बिकॉज जब मैं प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू बात करता हूँ 70 80 100 करोड़ का, तो मेजरली इट्स ऑलवेज दी HHNI. जैसे अगर रिसेंटली न्यूज हम लोग ने देखा होगा, मिसेस झुनझुनवाला बॉट अराउंड 600 to 700 करोड़ ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी रियल एस्टेट ही था. अगेन दैट वाज अ प्रीलीज प्रॉपर्टी. तो वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या टेनेंट है, क्या लोकेशन है, क्या टाइप का बिल्डिंग है. बिकॉज बिल्डिंग एज जो आर्यमन बोल रहे थे, इवन दैट आई एग्री कि कितना पुराना बिल्डिंग है, इवन दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. फ्रेंड्स, एनी मोर क्वेश्चन, एनीथिंग दैट वी वांट टू ओपन इन, और बिकॉज आर्यमन इज हियर, जल्दी मिलते नहीं है तो वी कैन डिस्कस अबाउट एनीथिंग एज ऑन टाइम. Anything regarding FRE, anything that we have a thought, because perceptions बहुत है. With real estate what happens is like we have always seen real estate as a traditional way कि मेरे पास 1 करोड़ रुपया 2 करोड़ है तो मैंने leverage किया और प्रॉपर्टी बाय किया. That was a traditional way. But fractionally is, believe me, that's a new way, that's a new concept that the team has brought up. One of a very beautiful concept and people are strongly accepting it. लोगों ने पैसा डाला है, लोगों ने पैसा बनाया है and exits दिए हैं. एंड लास्ट बेस्ट पार्ट, जैसे आर्यमन ने बोला कि प्लेटफॉर्म पे खुद, जबकि सेकेंडरी हम लोग बोल रहे हैं एस्टैब्लिश होगा, बट ग्रेजुअली सेकेंडरी ऑलरेडी एस्टैब्लिश्ड है. आज के टाइम पे भी जो पुराने ऑफर्स हैं जो क्लोज किए हैं उस पे भी अगर कोई आता है कि मेरे को एग्जिट करना है, दे हेल्प अराउंड एंड दे गेट हिम एग्जिट इन अ पीरियड ऑफ अ मंथ. जबकि आर्यमन इज सेइंग 3 days 15 days, स्टिल आई एम सेइंग इट्स अ मंथ. तो अगेन दैट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल थिंग कि आपको पता है कि प्रॉपर्टी क्या प्राइस पे ले रहे हो, क्या प्राइस पे निकल रहे हैं. Nagaraj want to ask something. Just a sec. I'm sorry. Nagaraj, आप अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रहे. या नागराज. Nagaraj, you can type the question. I'm just saying, looking around. Harshal, Saeed, if you can check around.
Yeah.
Nagaraj, को
Yes, sir.
unmute if possible around from back end. Yeah. How's the real estate market? Because you see real estate very closely, how things happening, what are the pockets we should look around, क्या होना चाहिए, because n number of fractional players आ भी रहे हैं, चीजें change हो रही है, which I seem to be good as well as bad. So what are the key things that we should look in as an investor, ये अगर मैं बात करूँ?
So I think two things are very important to evaluate when investing into this model. The first is the property, right? So all fractional platforms give all the information about the property. You should look at how good the asset is, how good the lease is, has the tenant invested in the property, is there a lock-in in place? What is the micro market ka fundamental? So I think all of those things are very important. And the second thing is you should see the platform ka track record. I mean, has the platform done other properties in the past? Have they been able to provide their investors liquidity? What kind of assets have they taken in the past and how are those assets performing? So I think by evaluating the property as well as the platform, investors can make a much more informed decision about the investment.
Super, super. Super. Friends, we can type. Nagraj, if you can type around, I will take your question immediately. Friends, anything, any more question that if you want to, I'm just holding around for next a minute or two. Till the time I get one more or two more questions to take in. The fractional investment is very good. Aryaman, till time, how many products have you done under fractional as a company?
We've done 5 to 6 different fractional properties in the past.
And total with the AUM comprising around totally?
400 odd crores.
400 odd crores. Okay.
So we've launched
any
about, we've launched about 13 odd opportunities across the various types of opportunities we launch on our platform. 6 to 7 of those are real estate. We've exited 2 properties already.
Super, super. And what was the timeline that we looked at for exiting those 2 properties?
So in those 2 properties, when we had bought it, we bought it at a very good purchase price, but the lock-in from the tenant was very less. It was only 7 months. So the tenant was leaving. So, we had a notice period of 6 months during which we could find a new tenant. So within that notice period, we were able to flip the property to ICICI Prudential Real Estate Fund. So that way our investors got a good return in a very short duration.
Super, super. So again, guys, this again a good point to note in, because जहाँ पे हम लोग lock-in and all की बात करें, in fact, Vertiv has a lock-in of 5 years. Vertiv has a background of that, but still जहाँ पे there was a tenant with just a lock-in of 6 months, so even they have given exit on that. So that is the reason I said कि see, when we talk about opportunities, it's more important कि opportunities कहाँ से आ रहा है. Nagraj, I'm audible? Friends, I'm audible, Saeed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that is what I was saying कि ठीक है जो अभी आर्यमन ने point किया, even at that part because of the expertise that the team hold around, they were able to get a new tenant and get the flip part. So even at that case, people got a exit, capital आया है, the opportunity is growing. It's one of a good opportunity going. Lastly, before winding this call, again I would reiterate to all, one of a very good proposition to go in. Fractional real estate is one. It's not a new concept as on time. It is a tried and tested concept. Market cap is more than 5,000 crore plus. WiseX की अगर मैं बात करूँ, it's almost 10% of the capping of market is of WiseX. They understand the product, they know how the structure happens, they know process कैसे करना है, exit कैसे करना है. So that's the background. Lastly, to say around Pune as a location, Viman Nagar again a very reputed and renowned location. पुणे में एयरपोर्ट से नजदीक है, मेन सिटी में है. बिल्डिंग की अगर मैं बात करूं, जस्ट अ 2-year old बिल्डिंग. टेनेंट की अगर मैं बात करूं, ऑलरेडी होल्डिंग 2 floors, बाइंग 2 more floors, जिसमें से 1 floor वी आर कमिंग अप ऑन द ऑफरिंग. रेंटल्स की अगर मैं बात कर रहा हूं तो 9.6 इज द रेंटल्स दैट वी आर ऑफरिंग अराउंड. तो सिंपल अगर मैं मैथमेटिक्स बात करूं, समवन इन्वेस्टिंग अराउंड 25 lakh rupees to buy it and rental starting from 17,000. Last, Aryan, before closing this call, just want to understand, someone if want to go in to buy this thing around, तो उसको पूरा 25 immediately डालना है या how the process goes in?
So the way the onboarding process works is once an investor is interested, we first verify his KYC. So there's a certain level of KYC that we do. So those requirements will be shared by our team. Once the KYC is verified, the investor gets sent a EOI, which is an expression of interest. This is basically a document which the investor has to sign and then transfer a token amount. The token amount is 5% of the investment value. So if someone wants to invest 25 lakhs, the token is 1.25 lakhs. Once we receive the token, we confirm the placement of the investor in the opportunity. Once we have enough number of investors, we issue the second set of document. It's called a drawdown notification. So on the drawdown notification, the investor has to remit the remaining 95% of the money towards the investment. And then we basically allocate the securities to the investor. So the entire process from token till drawdown takes roughly about 45 days. So we are hoping to close the opportunity by 15th of March to 20th of March.
Got it. So someone if putting around today, that is around 1.25 lakhs, 5% to 25 का है. So roughly for the जो 95% of the amount है, will be getting roughly a month of a period. Correct?
Correct. So month, 1.5, yes.
ठीक है. Yeah, there is one more question. Is it held in physical or demat form?
It'll be physical form.
ठीक है. So any on the rentals there are CCDs. Thanks Anand for reminding that. So rentals we say there are CCDs. How's that? What exactly? If you want explain on to that part too. मतलब rentals का कुछ CCDs होता है कुछ करते हैं because we were going through we were reading about many documents. So normal if say Sitla Thakur is an investor. तो normal मेरे को as an investor क्या मिलेगा? क्या क्या चीजें आएंगी?
Sure. So you will get two types of securities, and all investors get the same type of securities. You will get 10% equity and 90% CCD. CCD is basically like a debenture on which we can pass the rental as interest. So this is more to optimize taxation. So let's say you invest 25 lakh rupees, you will get 2.5 lakh rupees worth of equity, and you will get 22.5 lakh rupees worth of debenture.
Okay. Okay. फ्रेंड्स आई होप वी आर ऑलमोस्ट क्लियर. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो पहले ऐसा था कि वी वर इन मिड एंड वी गॉट इट क्लियर फ्रॉम आर्यमन. एनीथिंग इफ कुछ नहीं समझा है या एनी क्वेरीज अराउंड रिगार्डिंग फ्रैक्शनल, रिगार्डिंग कैसे स्ट्रक्चरिंग होता है, कैसे एग्जिट होता है, प्रोसेस क्या होता है. प्लस आर्यमन देयर आर ईयरली एजीएम्स एज वेल राइट?
Yes, so there are yearly AGMs, and we also allow virtual attendance. So investors can sort of attend. They can discuss any points that they may have, but more importantly, our team is available through the year. So let's assume even if there is no AGM, investors can always reach out. We are more than happy to assist, clarify. We are managing the property on an ongoing basis until we don't exit. So we are always that point of contact for any investor, for any partner through their whole journey if they have any queries.
Got it. Lastly, again, a question coming from my part. So, for example, if I have to invest, so this property is based at Pune, I have to travel from Mumbai to Pune?
No, so the entire process can be done digitally online. You don't have to leave your home if you don't want to. You can invest from the comfort of your own home.
Super. NRIs can do it? NRIs can invest?
Yes, NRIs can invest, though only through NRO account.
ठीक है, ठीक है. Because there are a lot of inquiries that come around from NRIs. तो ठीक है, ठीक है.
Correct.
Sir?
Yes, Saeed.
Yeah, sir, one question was there. So, like, if any investor enters into it and if he invests 25 lakhs, so after 2 years, if you want to exit, so just that point, can you just repeat if he's in need of fund and if you want to exit? So, is there option available or he has to just stay a lock-in?
No, the investor can exit whenever. He can exit after 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, whenever he feels like he can exit. We'll find a replacement buyer and we'll transfer the securities to the new buyer. So you can sell your fractional ownership whenever you want.
Great.
There is one more question, Aryaman. Can fractional owners sublet or transfer their usage rights to third parties or their friends?
Yeah, so they can sell their stake to anybody.
But they can't sublet. End of the day, already their tenant is there. How can they sublet?
No, they can't sublet it, but they can sell their fractional stake. So this is only a financial instrument. They won't have trespassing rights because the property is already leased to a tenant.
Got it. Got it. So if a client before investing want to personally see the property, visit the property, can we do that?
So because it's an operational building, it's difficult to sort of take people one by one. But what we are planning on doing, let's say after another week or two, is doing a site visit for everyone who's interested. So we'll be floating out information regarding this, and we might, have one day in which we'll invite everybody to come see the property, whoever's interested.
Got it. Got it. Sounds good. Friends, any more question? Anything? Okay. Then Aryaman, I believe almost many of the doubts were been cleared. And in fact, being the slightest or the smallest thing we discussed a lot with you. Thanks again, Aryaman, for giving us the time. And it was an opportunity around to be with you and talking on this thing. We're looking around to close some good numbers coming from our part. Baki, let's take it up. Thanks again, Aryaman, and thanks the entire team for this webinar again. Again, next week we will be meeting for our next webinar again on Thursday, 4 o'clock. Thanks again, friends, and thanks, Aryaman. Thanks again. Yeah, take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
dude. Thanks, everyone.